It was August 2023, and the oppressive summer heat did little to mask the horrors unfolding within a quiet Utah neighborhood. A frail 12-year-old boy, his limbs marred by untreated wounds and his stomach aching from prolonged starvation, struggled to escape through the first-floor window of a house that had become his prison. The ropes that had bound him for days had cut deep into his skin, leaving painful abrasions wrapped in crude, makeshift bandages of tape and home remedies. His captor, Jodi Hildebrandt, had justified his suffering by declaring him possessed, insisting that her punishments were acts of salvation. Summoning the last remnants of his strength, the boy wriggled free and fell to the ground with a muffled thud. Ignoring the pain shooting through his legs, he sprinted barefoot across the lawn to the neighbor's house, his heart pounding with fear and desperation. He pounded on the door, his voice hoarse as he pleaded, "Please, take me to the police station." The concerned neighbor ushered him inside, taking one look at his emaciated frame and the grotesque wounds on his legs before quickly dialing 911. Authorities would later uncover the chilling truth: the boy had been systematically abused under the guise of discipline, subjected to relentless torment by Jodi Hildebrandt and his own mother, Ruby Franke. 3 years earlier, the warning signs had already surfaced. Ruby Franke, a once beloved YouTube personality, had turned her family's life into content. Her channel, 8 Passengers, documented the daily lives of her husband Kevin and their 6 children, amassing over 2.5 million subscribers and nearly 1 billion views by June 2020. The seemingly wholesome family content masked an insidious reality. In one infamous incident, Ruby sent her 6-year-old daughter to school without a packed lunch, believing that the child was old enough to fend for herself. When the school contacted her in concern, she refused to provide food, adamant that this was a necessary lesson in self-sufficiency. Her eldest son, Chad, bore the brunt of her draconian discipline. At 16, he was banished to the basement, where he slept on a beanbag for 7 months. Other punishments were equally cruel: children sent away to wilderness camps for troubled teens, threats to decapitate their beloved stuffed toys, and relentless emotional manipulation. One Christmas, Ruby informed her children that Santa would bring no presents, deeming them too numb to deserve joy. As the years passed, Ruby's parenting methods drew increasing scrutiny, leading her to shut down 8 Passengers in 2022. Around the same time, the Frankes turned to Jodi Hildebrandt, a fellow Mormon and founder of the counseling business ConneXions, introduced to them by a family friend. Initially brought in to help Chad, Hildebrandt soon extended her influence over Sherry and even Kevin. Her methods were extreme, rooted in rigid control and harsh punishments. Under Hildebrandt's guidance, Ruby's beliefs took a darker turn. She became convinced her children were spiritually compromised, subjecting them to ever-escalating punishments. Meanwhile, Kevin, manipulated into believing he was the root of an unspoken family problem, was invited to leave and cut off from his wife and children. Isolated and confused, he continued to attend Hildebrandt's online men's group therapy, unaware of the escalating abuse within his home. As Ruby trained to become a coach with ConneXions, she and Hildebrandt launched the Instagram page Moms of Truth, spreading their dogmatic parenting ideology. Behind closed doors, Hildebrandt's control deepened. According to Kevin, she would enter trance-like states, speaking in strange voices, reinforcing Ruby's fears that demons had taken hold of her children. The two women's relationship became unsettlingly close. When Sherry returned home from college, she discovered massage oils and candles littering their shared bedroom. It was much more than a friendship, Kevin later revealed in a docuseries. Much more than a sisterhood. It was uncomfortably intimate. When Sherry tried to intervene, reaching out to Kevin for help, Ruby severed ties with her daughter, casting her out of the family just as she had done to Chad and Kevin before her. Now, the only ones left in Ruby's care were the youngest and most vulnerable of the Franke children, trapped in a cycle of cruelty they were powerless to escape. For Ruby's 12-year-old son, the summer of 2023 became a nightmare of forced labor, dehydration, and torment. For months, he was subjected to grueling physical tasks, wall sits for hours, carrying boxes of books up and down stairs, and enduring scorching heat without water. His punishment culminated in severe, blistering sunburns, left untreated as further lessons. His sister fared no better. Under Hildebrandt's orders, she was forced to hurl herself into a cactus repeatedly. Everything changed the day the boy fled. His escape set off a chain reaction, exposing the horrific extent of the abuse. Authorities arrested Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt, charging them with multiple counts of child abuse. Both women pleaded guilty, with Franke admitting to torturing her children under the delusion that they were possessed. In 2024, Ruby was sentenced to 4 consecutive terms of 1 to 15 years in prison, a sentence mirrored by Hildebrandt's own punishment. Their case shook the world, serving as a grim reminder of the dangers lurking within the influencer economy. The pursuit of online fame had transformed a once respected mother into a monstrous figure, driven by an unchecked hunger for control and validation. As the dust settled, the world was left grappling with unsettling questions. How had society allowed this to happen in plain sight? What price do children pay when their lives become content? And most importantly, would this case serve as a wake-up call to stop consuming content from influencers who prioritize views over morality? One could only hope that, in the aftermath of such horrors, the world would learn to see beyond the curated smiles of online personalities, and recognize the dark truths hidden behind the lens.